Reid. Brees joins us now. Good morning to you. Thanks for your time. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me. This is great.
You bet. You bet. Fun. What brought you to mind was the Hall of Fame induction this past weekend for your brother, Drew. I know you and your whole family were there. There's a picture of you guys together and your wife, Allie. Congratulations to Drew, but also to your whole family. There's the whole group. What was that like? What was the weekend like for you?
I kind of went into it with no expectations. There was my sister-in-law, Brittany, Drew's wife, did a lot of the planning with all the events and coordinating with all of our family and friends and everything. So it was an amazing experience. I would just say that getting to meet a lot of the other former Hall of Famers and then the current inductees, I mean, everybody was so nice, and all the events, just celebrating everyone's career was an amazing experience.
Man, that is so cool. And there are a ton of events, aren't there? I mean, the Hall of Fame puts on, I'm sure others, there's just a lot going on for that whole weekend.
There is. So, it started kind of with the Hall of Fame game on Thursday night, which, might be the most exciting preseason game I've ever watched.
Right.
And then, they have the Gold Jacket dinner on Friday, where they kind of introduce all the former Hall of Famers that are present for all the events. There were a record number of former Hall of Famers there this week. So there's 120 former Hall of Famers that were there. I believe there's maybe about 180 that are still alive. So to have 120 of them show up is pretty remarkable. And then the enshrinement on Saturday with all the parties afterwards and everything like that. It's a lot of running around. We were exhausted when we got home on Sunday. We probably stayed out till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning every single night, which, man, I haven't done that since my Baylor days. And so, I was ready to get home and get some good sleep.
That is fun. So at the Gold Jacket dinner, who really got your attention? Like, who did you look up and see and say, oh, there's Mean Joe Greene or somebody like that? Anybody particular?
He was actually the first person that came to mind. Just him and I would say Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. A lot of those guys that I grew up watching, back in the late 80s and early 90s. So it was very cool to meet and just really see those guys. And, I was very fortunate to have some good conversations with a lot of those guys, and everyone was super nice, and all of their stories and just experiences that they've had, and also kind of learning about their lives after football and kind of what has been keeping them busy and what, their interests are after their playing careers was pretty remarkable.
Wow. What's that program like for the Gold Jacket dinner? Do some of the Hall of Famers speak? Certainly not all of them. There's not time for all of them to speak, but what was the program that went with that dinner?
So they had 3 different awards that were given to some of the people within the journalism area, which was great. And so they got up and gave their acceptance speeches. And then Rich Eisen was the one who kind of he was kind of the lead man once the actual Gold Jacket dinner got started. So he introduced some of the former Hall of Famers. It was just, they went through the whole list. They basically introduced all 120 of the former Hall of Famers that showed up. Everybody got up on stage, and then they kind of created what was called a Gauntlet. So once they introduced all of those guys, Drew was actually the first one to get his Gold Jacket. And you walk through this gauntlet of all the former Hall of Famers, and you get to shake their hands and you get to talk to them. And then you get up on the main stage, and Joe Montana was the one who gave Drew his Gold Jacket. So, it was just kind of really cool to see. And obviously the appreciation that Drew and all the other inductees have for these former guys, because, they were really the guys that kind of paved the way for the NFL. And, the game now and the salaries and everything is a lot different than those guys that were playing in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so really it was just kind of giving respect and some honor to those guys as well, not just the inductees for this year.
Man, I'm getting chill bumps just thinking about that. Go walking through that gauntlet, that Drew got to do. And, each one of those guys had a chance to say something to him and congratulate him. And then Joe Montana is the guy that gives him the gold jacket.
I know.
That is meaningful, isn't it?
That's pretty amazing. One of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game.
Yeah.
And, again, me and Drew grew up watching those 49ers teams. Obviously, they competed a lot with the Dallas Cowboys, and us being in Texas, we got to witness a lot of that stuff. And I really remember those memories very vividly. It's like me and Drew, that was one thing when we were there. We talked about the Super Bowls that we watched that the 49ers were playing in, and some of the stats. And me and my brother had pennants in our rooms growing up. And one of the pennants that I had was one of the Super Bowls that the 49ers won against the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah. And so it's just really cool to kind of look back on that and be like, man, that was kind of like our time when we were learning about football and really enjoying it. So it was amazing. And I'm sure Drew would say the same thing.
Yeah. So cool, Reid, that you and he, got to share this together. I know how close you guys are, and for you to be there, and there's some of the numbers that got Drew into the Hall of Fame, but for you guys, to do that as brothers together, gosh, that is so cool.
It is very cool. And, there was obviously not just myself or my parents, but there's a lot of people that contributed to Drew's career and how successful he was. And, his speech that he gave at the enshrinement, I felt like really showed those people, and he called out those people that had really meant a lot to him, and it helped him get there. So, Drew's a very humble guy. And, I think that, growing up, we never thought that Drew would make it to the NFL or, be a Hall of Famer. I mean, that was just kind of crazy. We all knew that he was a great athlete, but he took advantage of every opportunity that he had in college and in the NFL, and he fought through a lot of adversity. And I'm just happy that he was able to get up there and get this honor and, support and mention all those people that have been there for him throughout the years.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. His speech was so good. I mean, he went back to, Little League days, basically, and then through high school at Westlake and Purdue and the Chargers, and then to the Saints, and mentioned all the people that had, been an impact on him through the years. The speech was really, really good. I don't think he left anybody out. Everybody had to leave there feeling very appreciated, by Drew and by your family.
I think more so than anything, it was really the Saints and the Who Dat Nation, all those fans. And Drew, I think he said it in his speech to where, Drew needed the city of New Orleans a lot more than New Orleans needed him, especially at the time that he went and joined the team. It was really cool to see the support that the Saints fans, they all came out. There was a ton of Saints fans there, and people that had traveled from Louisiana and all across the country. And so that was one of the things that I noticed the most was like, man, Drew, he meant a lot to that community, and vice versa. That community really, I think, is what uplifted Drew at that point in his life. He was kind of down after his shoulder injury, not really knowing what his career was going to be like after that. But just having the city behind him and really carrying him over the next 15 years, I mean, it was just amazing to see. And, New Orleans and Louisiana and that whole Gulf Coast region is always going to have a huge, part of him. So, and I'm happy for that. Those people really deserve that. And, honestly, I'm glad that Drew was able to bring a Super Bowl to him, because they deserve that as well.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Drew went off to Purdue. We couldn't get him to Baylor, but we got you to Baylor, which was terrific. And the picture's up behind you, and it looks like one of your jerseys is on the wall behind you.
Yeah, there you go.
What's that? There you go. Yeah.
I said, there you go.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. I remember old number 49 roaming the outfield for the Bears. But I know that was a really great experience for you, wasn't it? Being here at Baylor and being a part of a Baylor baseball team that you helped get to the College World Series.
Yeah, my stepmother, Amy Brees, and her whole family, they actually went to Baylor. So me and Drew growing up, we used to come to homecoming all the time. And so, Baylor from early on for me was a big part of my life. And although growing up in Texas and my parents going to Texas A&M, I always felt like Baylor, was a place where I wanted to end up. And so I'm very happy and fortunate that I was given the opportunity to go and play baseball there. And, the teams that we had when I was there, we had some great teams. But to, finally make it to the College World Series in 2005 is definitely one of the highlights of my life. I grew up dreaming about going to the College World Series. And that was another thing that me and my brother used to do quite a bit was watch the College World Series and all those teams that were constantly in it. And I feel like making it there was a really cool experience. And, I hope that Coach Thompson and the rest of the team can get there soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a great experience to get to Omaha, and you were front and center there. Also, I remember the year before you led the Big 12 in hitting. You were over 400, best batting average in the Big 12 in 2004. So you were a big part of the success of Baylor baseball during your time here.
I appreciate that. I feel like it was a lot of the coaching and just having confidence in myself to be able to go out and do that. So, with baseball, you can go through slumps and you can go through periods of time to where you're not seeing the ball very well, but to have at least the Big 12 conference season the way that I did and being able to hit over 400 was an amazing accomplishment. And, that's something that I'll always cherish.
Yeah. And you, Reid, have been very good about giving back to Baylor, giving back to the baseball program. You started an endowed scholarship or endowed fund for Baylor baseball. What's your motivation there? What was your thinking to give you the opportunity to give back to the Baylor baseball program?
I mean, obviously, the Baylor gave so much to me, and honestly, this was really an idea that my parents brought to me one year, and so we kind of helped coordinate it together. But it's just really a way for me to give back. And the endowment fund can help the baseball team with equipment and a lot of other things that some of the funds or the budget within the athletic department might not go towards, and so. I think it was just a cool way for me to give back and show my appreciation for the college that gave so much to me.
Wow. Well, it's greatly appreciated, and that continues to impact Baylor baseball in a very positive way. So great that you have done that. You're in Colorado, right? We're in Colorado.
Yeah, we live in a southern Denver suburb called Centennial, but we've been here for I've been here for a little over 20 years now. So right after I graduated from Baylor, I moved up here and have 3 kids, been married. So I've got a 10, 7, and 5-year-old. So they're kind of right in the middle of getting into sports and starting to enjoy school and all that sort of stuff. And working in medical sales. So I've been doing that for about 18 years now. So, some of the injuries that I sustained when I was at Baylor, I felt like that was another way for me to give back is working with other athletes that have injuries and, helping them work through that.
Nice. Very good. What's the temperature in Centennial, Colorado today?
Man, it's been hot. It was actually, it was cooler in Ohio than what it's been in Denver all year. Okay. Man, we've had, it's been very dry. Unfortunately, we definitely need some rain and this coming winter, we need some snow, but man, it's been about 100 degrees or 95, just mid 90s up to 100. But I would say that's good pool weather. We don't really get to utilize the pools here in Colorado very much just because of how cold it gets during the winter. But no, me and my kids and my wife, we enjoyed our neighborhood pool this summer and definitely got our use out of it.
That's good. That's a good way to look at it. That is really hot for Colorado. I mean, it's 102 here in Waco, but we're kind of used to that. So
right,
really hot for you guys.
Well, it is dry. It's a different type of heat. So even though it's 100 degrees, it doesn't feel like Waco or Austin or Houston or any of those places. So but my body at this point, since I've been here for so long, it's not really used to the humidity anymore. So every time that I come back to Texas, I have to start going into the sauna here in Colorado a few weeks beforehand, just so my body gets used to everything.
That's funny. That's pretty good. Well, it's so great to catch up with you, and congratulations to Drew, yes, but to your entire family. I mean, it's a family celebration, and there's a good look at your whole group that was there in Canton this past weekend. And great to catch up with you, man. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you. Best to you, and come see us. Go in the sauna, get ready, and come see us when you can.
I'd love to come back to Waco. So it's been a while since I've been back, but I definitely need to make some time to come down there and watch a football game and some baseball games. So
we'd love to see you. All right. We'd love to see you. Thanks very much for your time. Have a great day.
Yep. Thank you for having me. Take care.